I wanted to talk about real quickly. It was just adoptions. Now, how many people have adopted? So, a question for the chat. Adopted either from the Humane Society, adopted from a rescue group, adopted from an animal hospital. Who's adopted? And then I'll just post them kind of as they're popping up. Raph has got Alice and Pearl Jam, his two little kitties, two precious little kitties from the shelter. And rescued yours. So and rescued them from the just like from outside. They were just like strays kind of thing. Shelters here are death camps, so I would not take them there. In up in Turkey, and um, it's outdoor. I have adopted a kitty from the Humane Society and several dogs. Renee, I adopted Rascal out from under his previous owner and adopted Leo from a rescue as he was being rehomed. Okay. Uh, Judy. Oh, and you can talk about dogs too. That's perfectly fine. I adopted my dog from the Humane Society, and the two cats were rescues. Um, L. George. When I was a kid, we had a few cats, and all of them were rescues. And then Renee, Lucy was rescued from my friend's backyard. So that's awesome. It's awesome to hear. And then Burrito, I got my kitty from a friend. Okay, cool. So it's always good to hear that there's compassionate people out there that are rescuing these cats in shelters or in animal hospitals or out on the streets. Now, I will say one thing that I wish, and I think you probably noticed this yourself, when you go to, like, say, an adoption event, where is everybody at? Like when they have cats, where are they? Where do they tend to flock to when there's an adoption event going on? Where do all the people tend to go to when there's kitties? Itsu is saying dogs. Well, we're just talking about cats in particular. They exactly. So that's. Yep, yep. You got it, Raph. They go to kittens, right? And it's understandable. Kittens are cute. Kittens are fuzzy. Who doesn't like going up and playing with a kitten? When we worked for foster groups, we would always go to the kittens, right? Because they're cute, they're adorable. It's like, hey, it's a little fuzzy little kittens, right? But what I hope also that people would start to do is, and that's I'm sorry about that, and that there's no events. Maybe I don't know. Maybe hopefully that'll change. Is go to. I wish they would advocate a little bit more for the older cats, right? As far as adoptions go. Now, I don't know how many. I think most of you know Nick from Whole Southern Cooks, right? She was asking me last week on a stream, I think on Tuesday on one of my live streams, she was asking me about as far as adoptions go and just, like my opinion on, like the most affectionate breeds and, my just my general thoughts on adoptions. And in particular, like kittens versus an older cat. Let's say an older cat is like a year or two, like, right, like a cat, not a kitten anymore. I said, Nick, I think, regardless, adopting is great, but if you could try to adopt an older cat being a couple years at least. But, I wish that they kind of these groups kind of pushed older because it's hard. Nobody, well, say, hey, speaking of Nick, hey Nick, so we're talking about you asked a couple days ago as far as like adopting. You were thinking about adopting a new cat, sometime in the road. Hello, corner cue balls, clubhouse. Hello, CCC. I'll put it that way. I'm not going to say the name. Hello, CCC. A tongue twister. You were talking about adopting, right? And I said, well, kittens are great, but if you could try to adopt an older cat, because I think And let me know in the chat. I think older cats, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, I think that they will um, appreciate being adopted more than a kitten because a kitten doesn't know any better, right? They're young. But these older cats, though, they've been there. They like, they've been in a situation where they're locked in this little, these little cages, right? And I think they would just appreciate being adopted more. So, and let me see what Renee Rascal is almost 4. Awesome, Renee. That's awesome. It's outdoors. I understand. I've also adopted older cats or dogs all my life, always. Yeah, I just think that those older kitties. Hello, Rob. Thanks you for popping in, friend. Hello, Luis. Thank you for popping in too. Um, let's see what Anne is saying. I took in an old cat at age 18. Awesome, and lives until 24. That's the one. Okay, awesome, awesome. That is awesome to hear. And yeah, so yeah, those older cats, like I was talking to Nick about it, those older cats, I'm telling you, they are more loving. They're different. They're different than the young kittens are. They just are. And you may not be with them for years and years, but the time that you do have with them is going to be so precious. Guarantee you. I absolutely guarantee you. So if anybody's thinking about adopting a cat anytime soon, try to adopt an older cat. Hello, Martha. Thanks for popping in, friend. Um, Nick, hey, I'm sick of bad sinus infection, so I wanted to come in and engage. Okay, I appreciate you being here, Nick. And then Anne just talking about that older kitty. That was the best 6 years ever. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Rob, as far as let me get here. Rob, as far as being allergic, there are. I mean, there's no such thing as an allergy-free cat, right? They don't exist, but there are certain breeds where um, their dander is a little less. So, and there's allergy pills, right? That a person could take. I mean, I'm allergic to dogs. Excuse me, I'm allergic to dogs technically, but I take allergy pills every day, and that definitely helps. So allergy pills are an option. Just if interested, kind of thing. There's always ways around stuff, right? Um, but anyways, so that's about adoptions. Let me see here what it's adorable, amazing cat. I think you were giving them an amazing life. Yep, absolutely. Nick, let me get to your question. I have that maybe there are no stupid questions here, Nick. The only stupid questions are the ones you don't ask, right? Because if you don't ask, you don't know. Um, it is too soon to want to be adopted. Well, Nick, that I can't answer, right? I mean that's your own like personal choice. Um, don't think. Let me. Hello, Black Widow. Thank you for popping in, friend. Hope you're doing well today. Don't think of it as like replacing, right? It's just if your heart is opened again to bring in another life here, and let me put in what Judy is saying because this is beautiful. It's saving another life. It's giving another cat time with you and time that they will cherish and time that you will cherish, and you can't give that back. So I would never feel guilty about that. If you know when it's ready, when you want to bring another kitty into your life, into your heart, into your house, again. So whenever you feel like you're ready to do that, then that's your call. Now I will say, personal experience, when we lost our little boy, who was only 5. Okay, so he was just 5. He died. He passed away of feline leukemia. um, he obviously was a special boy because he was just 5. But we we went about 3 months or so until we decided to adopt and bring in another tuxedo, Whiskers Maximus. And, you know, I kind of thought it might have been too soon, but my wife really wanted that to happen. So we decided to adopt Max, and don't regret it 1 second. Um, so I think that there is no wrong time. It's whenever you feel like you are ready to adopt. And but if you have any questions though, Nick, because we talked a little bit about as far as adoptions go. If you have any questions, then just feel free to ask anybody in the chat, because most of these folks that are on the chat here, they are cat lovers, they are cat channels. My wife is actually putting in something. She doesn't usually say too much, but she's putting in the little boy started the tuxedo clan. Yeah, we've had 4 tuxedos so far in our house, and that will continue. And then let me get what Renee is saying. Um, I got Leo 2 months after. Yep, after he passed, and it helped me so much. Yeah, it hurts and it always will, but it's opening your heart up to that hurt, right? I mean, as hard as that is to say, you're opening your heart up to hurt, but it's also you're opening your heart up to love. So that's kind of what you're doing, to hurt but to heart to love. It's with the packaging. I think Luis had a question here. So this was the thing, Luis. The little boy, he wasn't well, okay, so he was born, but when we did the testing, right? Because when he's a kitten, you do all the testing, and he tested negative. Apparently what happened, or what we thought happened, what we think happened, something when he was around 5 years old, something must have triggered or activated the leukemia to become active. Something started it to activate. We have stress, maybe, because we were in the process of kind of moving. It's hard to say, but he tested negative as a baby, but it was in him, but it was dormant until something activated it, triggered it, started it. And the hardest thing for him, for that situation, was we did all a bunch of testing, because he was 25 pounds at his biggest. He was a big barn cat. He went down to 14 pounds, right? And when we finally got the diagnosis of feline leukemia, he passed away the next day. There is a story to that. I am going to post a video on that soon. But uh, the, so I will address that more when I have that video. But I do appreciate the question though, Luis. Um, Black Widow. All my cats have different personalities. Yeah, absolutely. You're not replacing. You're adding in. Yeah, and Nick. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for, right? Here to encourage. Here to give advice, ask questions, answer questions. Um, Community, right? And to me, I mean, it's nothing against other communities out there, and it's nothing against anybody else, but the cat community, that's the best community there is on this platform. Nothing against any other type of community, but the cat community, to me, that's the best. I'm biased, obviously, though. I will admit to. Okay, let me quickly kind of transition, if everybody is good with that, um, onto this second thing here. Excuse me. I think this was something that Renee was talking about. I'm remembering she was kind of talking about like cat diet and cat nutrition, kind of what she's dealing with Leo not wanting to eat certain foods. Okay, so think about it. Cats are carnivores, right? Luis, you're welcome. Absolutely. Cats are carnivores. They're born natural. They're meat eaters, right? So ideally, ideally, like the best food for a cat to eat is. Hello, Barbara. Thanks for popping in, friend. And Barbara, I do. You have an elderly cat with diabetes. I'm right with you. Our 19-year-old Zelda, she is diabetic, and she's had diabetes for going on 7, 8 years now. And we can definitely talk about diabetes too, Barbara. We can definitely get on that topic. Hello, camera woman, for popping in. Or I think it's Maria, right? I'm trying to just get everybody's name correctly. Um, But yeah, I think it's Maria. But thank you for popping in too, friend. Barbara, I will swing back on diabetes in a moment. Just give me a second on that, okay? Appreciate the comment. I'll get back to that. Excuse me. So like I'm saying, if you think about it, cats are natural meat eaters. So like ideally the best thing is just to have the cats go outside and just go, hunt for their food, right? I mean, kill a mouse. I mean, kill a bird. That's the natural way of doing things. But uh, we don't do that, right? Or at least I don't do that. I mean, maybe some do, but I don't do that because I have indoor cats. So, you know, um, that's the ideal situation. Now, I got to be honest with you. Myself, the foods that I give our cats, Fancy Feast, um, Purina One, um, Fancy Feast, Purina One, Blue Buffalo. I think that those are kind of your higher quality cat foods. Of course, look at the cans, right? And let me show you something. I'm gonna share my screen here for a second. So just give me a moment. Let me share my screen on. Uh, Hold on, I gotta get the right tab. I just wanted to show something. Let me get this. Let me put in cat food. Just give me a second. Okay. Hello, Trev. I think I saw you popped in there. Hello. Hope you're doing well, friends. Thank you for popping in. All right. So let me share this. Okay. So I typed in cat food, right? And this is insane. Look, and then let me scroll down. Cat food here. All right. I have Hills. I have Friskies. I have Meow Mix. I have Fancy Feast. I have Hills again. I have Cat Chow, which is Purina. I have Purina. I have Blue Buffalo. I have Meow Mix. I have more Friskies. I have Sheba. Look at all of I have Kitten Caboodle, right? I have Imes. Um, it is insane how many different type. We have Royal Canin. Um, you have Science Diet. You have so many options of cat food, and it's a little overwhelming. I think I'm going to stop sharing, but I just want to give like a little example there. Let me get back to the chat. Um, there are just it's insane. And it's the same with dogs. Dogs have a lot of different choices too. Let me pop this on BW. Um, yeah, so there are definitely there. I don't think. See, I don't believe that cats should be eating grains, right? Like tomatoes or carrots. Excuse me. Or peas or vegetables. I don't think the cat should be eating stuff like that. They need to be eating like meat, chicken, fish, but you got to be careful with fish. I'll get to fish in a second. um Let me so Renee, as soon as I can find, I'm going to email you a file link to a study. Perfect, beautiful. I look forward to that email, Renee. Definitely something we can talk about. Absolutely. um Let me see. Luis is you feed Sheba and Blue Buffalo. Burrito, Perino is one of the best for burrito. I guess my wife is saying sounds like the cereal aisle. Yeah, pretty much. Um, let me pop this back off and let me put this on. Renee, I did extensive research about cat food when Rascal was starting to get sick. So, the thing with cats is they, like humans in a way, we can adapt, right? So you can give a cat almost anything to eat and they will adapt, right? Let me put it this way. And you might have seen the same stuff, Renee. There has been research with some of the cat foods, even the ones that I will admit that I do give our kitties, the Purina One, the Fancy Feast, stuff like that. There are starting to be links that are being found with some of this cat food and hyperthyroidism, which is not a good thing. Some of this cat food and diabetes. right? Which is not a good thing. Um, some of this cat food and some health issues, right? So, best case scenario is to try to, if possible, of course, to give your kitties, you know, um, homemade stuff, as long as you know what you're doing. I've never done homemade, so I'm not going to speak for that because I would speak on something I have no idea about because I'm not going to say anything about that. Let me see what Luis is putting up. Well, our cats eat lettuce and pumpkin. Pumpkin is fine. I'm not sure about the lettuce, Luis. I mean, I'm sure you researched it. I think if they crave a food and it's not toxic, they can have it. I believe straight dry food is so bad for them. The the thing with straight dry food is wet food is better. There's no doubt about that. Wet food is better because it has the moisture content, right? Already. Hello, John. Thanks for popping in, friend. Hope you're doing well, John. Right now, John, we were just talking about diets with cats. So it's kind of an interesting conversation, interesting topic. So that's what we're doing right now. Um, so wet food, if possible, is better for moisture content. It's better because they get that water that they need, like right there. Because like I was saying, cats only need like so much water. They need it like right to here every day. So wet food is always better if possible. But see, to me, stuff like IMS or like science diet, it's kind of tricky because is there because you ever notice like vets are always pushing like these specialty foods. I kind of wonder why sometimes. Are they pushing these specialty foods because it's better for them? Mm. Or are they pushing these specialty food because, well, there's a little bit of, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Hate to say it like that, but I think that's a bit a part of it, to be honest with you. Um, you know, that's just my opinion. You don't have to agree, obviously, but that's just my opinion. John, the diet is so confusing. With people and cats too. Yeah, definitely, John. So, my opinion is always research what you're feeding your animal, your cat or your dog. Always research what they're being fed. And I don't mean your animal. Always research what you're feeding them. If you're not sure, then look on the can. Right? Look on the can. Um, I would say if you see on your can, like the behind, like the little, like your little ingredients on the back of it, if it doesn't start with stuff like, like chicken, if your first like three or four ingredients aren't things that you recognize, that you know what it is, then maybe you shouldn't be feeding them. Um, I would also say be careful with grains, and I would also say let me what is be careful with fish. Let me get to fish in a second here. Luis is just saying, yep, it just thinks it's for products, and I'm in the pharmaceutical industry, and it's the same in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I hate to say that, but yeah, I kind of. All right, let's pop that off. So the thing about fish, I don't know about your kitties, right? I don't know about your kitties, but my kitties, they want to be seafood junkies, right? Cats and seafood go hand in hand. Cats and fish, codfish, seafish, well, sea's fish, tuna, whatever. They're seafood junkies. Now, this is kind of tricky. Let me put what BW most prominent ingredients are listed first. Yep, first in order. Absolutely. And John, I feed Friskies shreds for wet food, only Blue Buffalo for dry food, which is expensive, but there are no carbs. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's kind of like with humans, like you were saying, John, right? We're told, hey, low carb diet, protein, but then another study says no, you need more carbs. So it's like this back and forth. It always changes. Um, but balanced. Let's try to put this balanced. A balanced diet. You need carbs for energy, right? You need protein to think for your brain, right? You need fats for energy also. Try to get a balanced diet as much as possible. Let me and one of my cats won't eat anything with chicken. It is but anything that is fishy. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um so let me get back to fish real quickly. Let me kind of circle back to fish. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in my mind. The great thing about fish is the needed thing for fish, that the taurine that's in fish, that is very important for cats, the taurine. They need that. It's a vital nutrient that they need to be healthy. Now, kind of on the flip side though, with fish, canned fish, fish, catfish food is it can cause elevated iodine levels, right? And that can throw off the thyroid. And that's where, excuse me, that's where you can get these elevated thyroid levels, and that's where you can get the hyperthyroidism. That's something that's growing across the country. So fish, just be careful with fish. They need taurine, but they don't need, they don't need fish all the time. And I'm guilty. I will fully admit that sometimes, we get fish because that's what they'll eat, because they'll sniff the nose at the other stuff. But we're trying to do a little less fish. Having 9 cats, I would tell you this: having 9 cats, anybody who has more than a couple cats, it is tricky, to say the least, um, to feed 9 cats. Uh, we have about almost all of our cats. They eat something different. The dry food is all the same, but wet food is a little different. So it can be definitely a little challenging. Um, Now, does anybody? I'm just kind of going through chat here. I don't want to talk about YouTube stuff too much, so I'm kind of going to leave that off to the side, as far as YouTube stuff goes. But does anybody have any other questions or any other thoughts about diet? Because we can definitely talk more about that. Excuse me, if you do. I'll give a few moments. Yeah, diet is something. I mean, in reality, gosh, diet can be a 2 hour, a 10 hour thing. Maybe I'll dedicate like a particular Sunday with just diet itself. Let me. So John, I have 4 cats and none of them eat beef. Um, Nick, yeah, they definitely have certain requirements, but can you be a little bit more like specific on like a question on what you mean by that? So, but yeah, they definitely would have different requirements. And do you mean like nutritionally? Um, I asked a question about wet cat food. Uh, That's another thing, Luis. Thank you for reminding me on that, because I did forget about that. Is mercury? Yeah, you definitely have to be careful also with mercury as far as fish goes, because it can elevate levels and it can throw things off. Some mercury, yes, but too much mercury is not good. So yeah. Um, Rascal and Lucy, I sent you emails, questions. Okay, I will definitely read that, Renee, and I will give you my thoughts on that, and we can definitely converse about that. So I look forward to, excuse me, I look forward to reading that. Thank you, Renee. Um, I would say, Nick, yes. So older cats, like humans, right? Older cats, they might need a different type of food. Now, again, this is kind of getting back into like a science diet. There are particular diets that have been manufacturally made in a lab for older cats and older dogs. So they definitely, just like people, just like humans, when you get older, your nutritional needs change, right? And what you could eat or what you might want to eat when you're younger, you can't eat necessarily as you're older, or those things will change. However, though, however, I will also let me just kind of just I'm sorry, guys, I'm just looking at the chat here real quickly too. Okay, so I also will say though, and again, this is just my experience. Our 19-year-old diabetic cat has lived on Fancy Feast like her entire life, and she is perfectly fine, besides the diabetes, obviously, but she is perfectly fine. Now, am I saying that a person shouldn't like do science diet or they shouldn't get a food that their vet recommends? No, I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying though that I think sometimes those like, you know, specialty foods, if you will, are pushed, are not pushed, that's not the right word. They are recommended to pet parents, and they may not necessarily need to be. Hopefully that makes sense. Uh, there are certain like situations where maybe weight management, right? There are like weight management foods for an overweight kitty. My thing to that is, okay, so the food will help a little bit, but what'll help a little bit more is exercise, right? Is playing with your kitty, is getting them to move if possible. Um, but I think there definitely would be certain types of food that might be helpful as far as an older cat goes. Okay. Um, Let me see. And let me know, Nick, if you have another question off of what I said. More than happy to keep on discussing that topic. It's definitely worth doing the research into food diets. Many think it's tedious, but it's really worth it. Yeah, I don't disagree with you at all with that, Renee. I don't disagree at all. Um, Nick, you're welcome, Nick. Let me know if you have any questions. Just let me know on that. All right. I think we talked about, I don't know, diet for maybe a little good little chunk of while. Um, so let me kind of switch gears here for a second, and let me see, what did I have? Let me put this back up on here again. Um, yep, Renee, you have to research and decide what is best. Yep. And do that research and get different opinions and then figure out what is best in your particular situation. Absolutely. All right. So number three, because this is another pretty darn important thing. Um, Litter boxes. And before I get to that, let me see what Tranquil put on. I had a vet scold me for feeding Fancy Feast. She said it was like feeding McDonald's. See, yeah, yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. I don't believe that whatsoever. I just think that those vets, they want to push their food that's up on their walls because it costs more. I mean, I hate to say that, but that's what I think. Because vets, they have a certain mind frame, and it's not sometimes based on um like how life actually works. I mean, this is like the ideal situation, but there is ideal situation and then there's like real life experience and real life stuff. So sometimes the two don't quite mesh, right? Sometimes they hit they come off, they don't quite work. But anyways, let me get on to the next one. um it's like I said, we could talk a lot about diet. What did I say? Boo, 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 boo. Litter boxes. Okay, so litter boxes. This is another pretty important one. Um, uh, Nick, yes, I actually had a vet say pretty much everything except for blue buffalo and a science diet is trash. Yeah, well, I mean, they can have their opinion, which is, it's America, right? You can definitely have your opinions on stuff like that, but as the consumer, I can have my opinion too. That's why we live in America. you know, it's a beautiful country that we live in. We need to fight for our freedoms, and we need to advocate for our felines, right? All right. So litter boxes. I think I saw John say a comment. Let me see, where was it at? Because the next thing I was talking about was going to be litter box. John, where is your comment at? I think it was John. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So now, um, as far as litter boxes go, John, perfect example here. This is what I wanted to talk about. John has four kitties. I think everybody knows John. If you don't, hey, check him out if you want to. I'm not going to tell you to, but if you want to check John out, and it's the same with everybody. I think everybody is connected here that's in this chat, anyways. But if you're not, then check each other out. See how it works. That's my little, connection thing. Um, but John has four kitties. And as he says, my question was going to be, how many litter boxes do you have, and how many litter boxes do you need? John has five. So he's got one per kitty, and he's got that extra one, right? And that is the ideal situation. Now, I know that, again, there's ideal and then there's real life. Ideally, you want one per cat, and you want that one extra one too. That's the ideal situation. It looks like Renee here is saying that she has the three litter boxes. So she's got one for each, and then she's got that extra one too. I think Tranquil said that she's got, and it's harder, Tranquil. So I'm with you, right? You got the nine, I got the nine. You have eight litter boxes. I have one, two, three. I have six. I technically have like 10, but I really have six that I use that's currently being used. Again, just being honest. Um, I would put more out if it was needed, but with my nine, it's not required. Six. Hello, Icon. Thanks for popping in, friend. Hope you're doing well. Excuse me. Let me see. Let me just get to this question real quickly. Oop, not that question. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? There we go. I only have one litter box. No, I don't think you need another one, Burrito. One cat, I think, was fine for one litter box. One cat, one litter box. I think that's perfectly fine. Raf, we have one giant litter box when we're home, and then two giant when we're away. Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about though with litter boxes, in particular, was Burrito. You're welcome. Absolutely, you're welcome. Yeah, and we're going to talk about litter also in a second. Ideally, I, right? Ideally, have more. Have at least as many cats as you have, and have one extra. That's ideal. It's not always life though, because like I said, I only have six, but it works for me, and it works for them. Um, but what can happen though is, oh, and also, scooping litter. This is something that I've talked to some people and I don't understand at all, right? So I asked them, I've had conversations with people like, how many cats do you have? And they're like, I'm just hypothetically situation here. Let's just say they have three, okay? They have three cats, and let's say they have two litter boxes, right? And I asked them like, well, how often do you scoop the litter, out? And they say, well, maybe once every 2 or 3 days. And I'm like, what? You only do it once every 2 or 3 days? You scoop their litter? I'm like, no wonder you're having some problems here. Um, Again, I scoop my litter once a day. I scoop it at nighttime. I do my log rolling, right? I think everybody's kind of heard me when I'm in chat sometime, other people's live. Well, it's time to it's time to roll some logs, right? So that's what I'm doing. I am scooping scooping that. Hey, Luis, if you work, do it 3 times a day. Hey, if that works for you, and John, I see your morning and night. I mean, if that works for you, awesome. But what works for me, because honestly, the litter that I get, and that's part of the litter that I get to, and we'll get to that in a second. It doesn't. In all honesty, like when people come in and I tell them they have 9 cats, they're like smelling around, right? And they're like shocked. You have how many cats? I'm like 9. And you have how many litter boxes? I'm like 6. I'm like, it doesn't smell like anything. I know. I know. Um, but again, that's me. I scoop once a day, and it works for me. Now, if I feel like um, if I need to change that as their behavior dictates, right, then I'll change it. Um, Let me see. It's, Louise Heckno is scooping once is okay. Nick, I usually do it twice a day. My cats have always been picky and scream at us. Oh, they've trained you though. They've trained you well, Nick. They've trained you there. Um, and cats definitely they can train you very well. Believe me, I know how kitties can train. But anyways, uh, oh, so here's what I was going to say also about litter boxes. One, litter, right? So again, kind of like cat food, there's not a ton of litter out there. There's not like a lot of options, but with litter, unlike cat food, I truly believe that you get what you pay for as far as litter goes. Again, you got to do what is best for you and what you can afford, obviously. For me, I have Scoop Away, which it is more expensive, and then I have the world's best cat litter, and that combination seems to work pretty well for my cats, right? Now, if in all honesty, if I could get all of my cats to go into the world's best cat litter one, I would, because one of the good things about the world's best cat litter is it doesn't have any dust, right? Now, I'm not worried about dust getting like kind of like around the litter box because you can clean, right? You can clean your home. But one of the problems sometimes, excuse me, with dust is they can inhale it and maybe it can cause some irritation. I think there's also been some studies as far as dust goes that it can cause some lung issues, right? Some breathing issues. So if I could, I mean, if my cats would let me use the world's best cat litter, I'd be using that. But unfortunately, they don't. We've tried, uh, but they don't. So those are the two that I go with: the world's best cat litter and Scoop Away. Tranquil, you use Tidy Cats. Okay. And then just also Tranquil. Let me see what else you had here. I love that we all generally care about cats. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, just here briefly, the other thing I wanted to talk about, since I'm talking about cat litter, and litter boxes in general, is if your kitty, especially if it's a younger kitty, and let's say younger is 10 and under, okay? Yeah, 10 and under, let's say. If you notice that they're peeing or pooping outside of the litter box, right? Not all the time, but the majority of the time for that particular behavior is there is some sort of underlying medical issue. By NPP, thanks for popping in, NPP. I appreciate it. We will see you next time, and I'll check out your premiere that you had earlier today. And thank you for popping in, NPP. Have a good week. All right. I'll get to this in a second, Renee. But anyway, so like I was saying, when it comes to if a cat is peeing or pooping outside of the litter box, if they're under 12 or under 10, then there might be very likely a medical issue that's going on, and definitely would recommend getting some blood work done. You could have some kidney issue going on. It's usually kidney issues for the most part, is what that'll be, but not always. Shannon Tyrement, Shannon Tyrement. I'm gonna mess that. I'm just gonna call you Shan or Shane if that's cool with you. Thank you for popping in, friend. Hope you're doing well. Renee asking me about wood pellet litter. Renee, we have tried way long ago. Maybe not that exactly, but like the little, probably the same thing, like the little pellets, right? My opinion on those are it's fine for like poop, right? But the thing that I don't like about that is when the peeing happens because think about it, as you're kind of scooping it up, you're scooping up such large chunks of it potentially. And I just think it's a kind of a waste. Um, so I'm not personally, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, I guess there's no dust, and it could be a healthier choice, right? But and it's probably better for the environment also. But I'm just personally, I'm not a fan of that myself. Um, Hello, Dirk. Thank you for popping in, Dirk. Hope you're doing well. So let me pop this comment off. John, paying the P is with the wood pellet stuff, right? Yeah, that's the problem with that type is that's why I'm not. I see the appeal to it, and I see a lot of pros that it has, but I think the cons outweigh the pros. Ideally, right? You just train your cats to use the toilet. I mean, right? You just that's the ideal situation. They just say use the bathroom like you do. And then you just teach them to beep, flush. That's the ideal situation, but hey, I don't know of any cats that are actually toilet trained myself. Um, Let me see, Luis. I have to go on my walk before it gets dark. Thank you for doing this. Adam. I'm good at talking, so I think it's super cool. So, oh yeah, absolutely, Luis. I appreciate you popping in. Stay safe out there with your walk. Have a good one. But we will, see Bean, Scarlet, Percy, and I'm forgetting the other ones. Ralphie. I might have missed one, but I appreciate you coming in. Um, Let me see. But another thing I wanted to talk about, and let me actually give me a second here. I'm going to share the screen again. I'm going to just type in litter boxes, and I'm going to share the screen. Uh, do, 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 do. All right. Let's present. Let's share. Yep. And I want to share this screen. Okay, so hopefully everybody can share. Share. Everybody can see this screen. Okay, let's just look at this litter box for example. Okay, so hopefully everybody should be able to see this. I'm just on Chewy, right? And let me go back to chat for a second just to make sure everybody is good. Okay. All right. So this kind of litter box, it's fine for younger cats, right? We have the bulk of our 6 litter boxes. 4 are they kind of look not exactly like this, but they're higher up, right? Now, look at this. They're taller, right? Now, when I was talking about litter boxes and cats, if they're under 10, if they're not peeing or pooping, or if they are peeing or pooping outside of the litter box, it's usually a medical situation. But let's say you have a cat that's 10 or older, like they're getting into that senior age, 10, 12, 15, 18, 20, right? The issue now is is the reason they might be peeing or pooping outside of that litter box. It may be still a medical problem, but what the problem probably is more so is that litter box is too high for them, right? Just think about it. You're an older cat, probably have arthritis. It's not feasible. It's harder for you to get in and out of that box. So what are you going to do instead? You're going to pee on the floor next to it, right? You want to try to get in there, but you can't because it's too high. So what we do, and let me stop sharing for a second. Let me get back to this. So what we have instead are the senior. It's basically like a senior litter box. They're like low entry. I'm gonna find it and I'll pop it on the screen here. Um, Let me get back to sharing. Let me share the screen again. And let's get to, just bear with me for 1 second. Okay, so everybody should see this screen here. Okay, so what's nice about these, because we have some older cats. See how much smaller that, or how much? Let me get to it. See that entry, like that barrier? It's only 3 inches. Okay, it's not like 6 inches. So I would highly recommend, if you do have some older kitties and maybe it's a little hard for them to get into those higher litter boxes, use these types instead. It doesn't have a top, yes, so there might be a bit of a smell because it's not contained within the litter box, right? But trust me, if you have older kitties, they will definitely appreciate these low litter boxes. Because it's going to be much easier for them to get in and out of it, right? Because they're probably having arthritis, they're probably having some kind of issue, and that could be, not necessarily is, but could be a reason on why they're pooping and peeing outside of the litter box because it's too painful for them to get in to the litter box. All right, I'm going to stop sharing that. Let me get back to chat. Um, uh, Let me see. Tranquil is saying that my litter, yeah, and some cats don't like a litter box because the problem with that litter box top sometimes is they feel like they're kind of trapped, like they can't. It goes back to their instinct. They get in the litter box and they need to like look around. It's like, is there any predators? Is anybody like here? They don't necessarily feel safe sometimes with that. Um, Right? I mean, I don't know. It seems to help with me and ours, but yeah, I mean, if somebody like drops, uh, uh, um, let me put it this way, right? If somebody drops like a really stinky one, and if they don't cover it up, then yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be a bit of a smell going on. And thanks for popping in also, Ray. I appreciate it. Talking about kitties here. But yeah, there definitely can be a smell. It's the same with us, right? I mean, come on, let's be honest. We go to the bathroom, right? And sometimes as we're going to the bathroom or when we get up, there's definitely a smell there, right? Uh, but yeah, no, it doesn't help with the smell. Um, I agree with you on that. All right, pop that off. So, anybody have any other questions or any other thoughts as far as litter boxes go? Let me know if you do. And then we have one other topic, and then we had a couple of questions. So I appreciate all of you popping in here, and talking about our felines here. It's something I can talk about all day, but I'm not, limit these to 2 hours. But love talking about these kitties. Let's see what Barbara is saying here. I used uncovered totes when because my cats were too big for regular litter boxes. Now I use a covered one with a ramp. Perfect. Yep. And that's another thing I was going to say with those ramps. They're good for those older kitties also. Um, and it's so nice to be able to talk about your famous. Awesome, man. Glad to hear. Ray, Jess used to use the little filter on top, but the cats we have now just ripped off and shoot it. Yeah, yeah, Ray. I think we have there might be one that we had to get rid of, but most of the time they don't mess with them. But I definitely know where you're coming from as far as that goes. The other thing I wanted to say on litter boxes, too, is, and I don't mean just like scooping the litter out, right? Which I just, like I said, I do daily. And again, this is what I do. You can let me know in the chat what you do. But about every 3 months or so, excuse me, about every 3 months or so, we take out all of the litter. Right, we dump all of the litter out. Um, and we scrub them down. We get soap, we get water, we have a little scrubber, right? And we sanitize them, we clean them all the time. We clean them up and down. We get them sterilized. Um, that's just something that I do. Let me know in the chat. Is that something that you all do too? Do you empty out the litter box like entirely and clean it with soap and water? If not, it's something I would, I would suggest, or I would highly recommend that you also do, or maybe you do. Just let me know in the chat. And that's kind of the last thing as far as litter. Let me see here, Martha. You do it about every 6 weeks, so you do it better. You do it more than I do, Martha. About every 3 months is a good system for me. But if you do it every 6 weeks, then awesome. Ray, you clean them every now and then. Okay, nice, nice. Um, Alice, Raf. So the thing, Raf, I would say I would suggest about soap is sometimes hose won't, and especially like a scrubber. Sometimes just a hose, it won't get some of those stains, right? And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes there's like pee stains. It's just you hose it like right on it, right? And it doesn't come off. So that's why the soap and then the scrubber. But maybe Alice and Pearl Jam, they don't leave those stains. Uh, but I mean, again, that's just me. Um, what is Ray saying? We have a couple litter boxes in the front porch where they hang out. We dump the old litter in them and renew the litter inside. Okay. Yeah, cleaning litter boxes, it's not a fun thing, but it's a necessity. It's a necessity for me. Um, but that's just me. Okay. What is and I have a crazy cat that loves to roll on the side of the tile the moment we wash it with bleach water. Oh, hey John, if you got a pressure washer, then yeah. I still like the soap though because I don't know. I feel like if you don't have soap, it's not like water has sanitizing materials in it, right? But you know, um, I just like that soap. And I'm not talking I pour like a whole thing of dish soap in there. It's just a little bit. It only needs just a tiny little bit. Um, yeah. Okay. Let's okay, so the next thing, water bowls. Now, it's water bowls and it's also food bowls, so it's both, okay? I just put water bowls, but again, what kind of water bowls does everybody use and what kind of food bowls? And what I mean by that is, do you use plastic water bowls and plastic food bowls, ceramic water bowls and ceramic food bowls? What do you all use as far as bowls go, water and food bowls? Let me, as y'all thinking about that, let me see what Renee is putting here. Um, I can always tell which cat left a pee clump. Leo somehow always to get the pee right on the side of the litter box. He makes it stick to the side. Yeah, and you got to dig on it. Yeah, that's fun, isn't it, Renee? I know the feeling. I definitely know the feeling. Um, Let me see. Notice never had a flea on her. And then Raph, ceramic and metal. Okay. Ray stainless, John always using a drinking fountain, Judy with a thumbs up there, uh, Martha, I have a fountain and a metal bowl, and Renee, okay, perfect. So I was gonna say I would never, I would not use plastic or those like cheap. Uh, oh, okay, so burrito. Here's what I was gonna say. Um, The reason I personally, again, this is just me. The reason I don't care for plastic food bowls or plastic water bowls is one, they can get bacteria on them, right? Two, because they can get that bacteria on them, you might notice sometimes cats, especially like up here, they'll get like this little black stuff, right? Like on their chins and things like that. Sometimes that's just cat acne, but a lot of the times, or some of the time, that's going to be caused from those type of bowls. Um, so whenever you can, and again, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do because that's not what this is about at all. But I would definitely, though, whenever you have the opportunity, change to ceramic because ceramic, unlike plastic, it won't have that bacteria growth. I mean, yeah, true. You can wash plastic, but ceramic is the way to go if you can. And let me just say, burrito cat. I had a cat that was allergic to plastic. Yeah, just I would stay away from plastic. Um, John, stainless steel drinking fountains with filters. Yeah, yeah. Uh, let's see. And we use still bowls for both food and water. Um, uh, Absolutely, burrito. You are welcome. Absolutely. Uh, Judy, I had to take him to the vet because his shin broke out. Yeah, because it was the plastic bowl. Yeah. Yep. Um, Another thing, and again, this is within your means, right? And what's within your budget. Water fountains. I would definitely recommend water fountains. Um, One, it's healthier for them, right? And two, now a cat will drink water out of anything, right? They will. But a cat prefers most of the time to drink out of something that is flowing. Not all of the time, of course, but the majority of the time, cats like something that is flowing. It's something in their instincts. It's something like in their genes. They like that flowing water. Um, so again, if possible, I would highly recommend a water fountain also. Now, of course, with everything else, I got to put this up. So, and I had a water fountain once, and Kayla thought that was a toilet. That's pretty funny, Anne. Um, so what I was saying, of course, with anything else, there are pros and cons, right? So the pro to a water fountain is, like I said, it's that flowing water. Let me see what Ray's popping here. I think cats prefer to drink still nasty water from a puddle. Maybe if they have no choice, Ray. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, each cat is different. They have their own personality, right? They have their own characteristics. They have their own style. So, I just from what I've seen and from what I've always, research that I've done, kind of thing. It doesn't mean that it's right or wrong because it's the individual cat preference. Is they prefer just that kind of like that free flowing water. Nothing against bowls and stuff like that, but it's just just my opinion on that. Um, what was I saying? Um, oh yeah, so the con though with water bowls, realistically, depending on how many cats are using said water bowl, you got to clean them out like once or twice, about every other week or so, give or give or take. Because if you don't clean them out like every couple of weeks, give or take, then I'll tell you what, they're gonna get nasty inside. They have filters, yes, but they're gonna get slimy with that cat saliva, because everybody's licking, right? So they're gonna have that cat saliva. Um, so make sure that you're cleaning out those water fountains every couple of weeks or so, maybe once a month. It just depends on your cats and how many cats you have. Let's see, just kind of going to the chat here. Tranquil. I gave my outside cats a water bowl and they still drink. Hey, maybe that's what they're used to. So again, I'm not saying every cat does that, and if that's what they're used to, and if that works for them, then you know, then that works. John, cats love pond water, something natural. Yeah, maybe it may be. Clip that licking. That'll be a YouTube short, right? I'm not gonna lick again though. Not gonna lick again. But anyways, so yeah, just clean the water fountains. Once a month or around there. Um, okay. There were some questions, so I think that's all the topics that I had. And again, so that email that's up there, if you ever want to have a topic, and I'm going to put this in a community post in a couple days, but if you ever want to have a topic during this time, like during this cat stuff, then let me know. Send me an email that's linked up to the top of this live, or Adam Licks hashtag, or just get in contact with me somehow, and I will put up any topic, and we will definitely talk about it, for sure. Have a good conversation about it. Um, let me put that off. So that's the topics, and then questions. Now, these two questions, I think I don't know if Judy is still with us or not, but